headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.
I didn't notice this, but apparently there was an NHS Valentine's vaccine poster. What on earth did it say? Get jabbed to show your love or something?
Get a shot of love or get a shot for love.
Oh, hang on.
So,
yeah, there is
have you
a
got the
shot
picture?
of love for Valentine's Day.
Oh, my goodness.
A shot of love?
Well,
why is a vaccine a shot of love?
It's the latest rather desperate marketing plea to get the vaccine. Anyway, I saw this.
I'll tell you what, Laura, because if you don't get the vaccine, you could catch Omicron and then you'd have the sniffles for 2 days. Get the vaccine.
Well, I sent this digital flyer to my boyfriend, and we had to think about it. Should we go and queue in the cold for the vaccine, or should we stay indoors with a steak and a bottle of wine
and some roses and some candlelight?
No roses. Roses should be for every day, not just Valentine's Day.
Oh, is that right? We'll discuss that another day.
So it was just. It's just odd. I've talked before on this programme about how Father Christmas is a way you can look at what the propaganda, what governments want you to think. In any year, look what happened to Father Christmas over the last couple of years. He's been in ICU, he's been getting vaccinated. Valentine's Day is similar. Look at how we treat... It was
cancelled, wasn't it, last year?
Well,
or the year before last.
Exactly. But look at how we treat Valentine's Day as a society. Just a few short years ago, it was a big, hot, commercial, sticky mess of flowers, chocolates, cards. I kind of long for those simple days to be back. Last year, there was lots of advice about how to have romance and sex safely. It wasn't the most romantic vision for Valentine's Day. Things like use masks, sanitise, your safest partner is yourself, etc. We'll say no more as this is post-breakfast. And this year it's get vaccinated.
There was a moment, wasn't there, where they told us while making love to wear masks?
Oh, there was. I didn't know if I could say this post-breakfast. Well, it gets worse. There was advice not to engage in... No, I'm going to be careful because I cleared a word that I can or cannot use with you before.
I did say you couldn't use it.
I'm not going to use that word.
All right.
But there was advice not to breathe heavily and to wear a mask. And well, you might want a mask for a special occasion, but if you're not breathing heavily, something might not be going right. It was all very, very strange advice.
Just indicative of where governments thought they could go with their power, telling us what we could and couldn't do, not only in our own homes but in our own bedrooms. Unbelievable. But also
how it reaches into the media. So the BBC have run quite a few stories about how to have safe sex and how to date. And I've always thought it's a bit strange. It kind of goes beyond their remit, I feel, as a public service broadcaster.
Go out with someone from the BBC, then you won't have to have any sex at all. You can just dump them straight away because you'd realise you made a massive mistake. Funnily enough, I wonder what you thought of this. I did a thing on my show last week about it because I happened to get home last Thursday night, my apologies, and catch the last sort of 20 minutes of question time. Never advisable. It's like a cure for insomnia. But there they were in Wales, and it was like the ghost of COVID past. There were massive, great perspex screens between all of the panellists, and you panned over to the audience, and there they were sitting 10 feet from each other with masks up to the eyeballs. The BBC is not helping ease the pandemic mindset among the people. I think it borders on irresponsible.
Well, actually, I just found it a bit embarrassing. I saw that because first
of all... Did you see it? You see what I'm saying?
I did see it. First of all, there was never any evidence for perspex, plexiglass screens between people. It's a matter of physics. It's an airborne virus. This is not going to disrupt the transmission. In fact, there's some research to show they may be unhelpful. It's the same with the masks. There was never any research. So while they have to follow the government line on public health advice, to still be using any masks or plexiglass screens on a public service broadcaster is irresponsible, but it also looks a bit embarrassing because it's a very weird performance of COVID safety theatre. It's not driven by science, it's unnecessary, and it just takes away from any notion of serious debate.
I got a call, I hope to speak to him a bit later, from Derek in Dorset. I don't know what the exact context of his call is, but he said something about talk radio undermines COVID rules. Got bad news for you, Derek. There aren't any COVID rules anymore. That's the point, isn't it? People are still going around going, oh, it's the rules, it's the regulations. Well, we're about to drop all of them. Do you think the nation is ready for this? Because I'm not so sure.
I think it's a mix. The thing is, people were quite astonishingly ready for the rules, for the nanny state, Big Brother state, to tell them how to manage every aspect of their lives, from not just masks, but whether they could share serving spoons at Christmas.
That's right, yeah.
Whether to wear a mask having sex. I mean, I just have no words for the level of intrusion that people...
You might want to wear a mask in certain circumstances, but maybe not a COVID mask, you know what I'm saying?
I don't think we're like this post-breakfast, Kev. You're not in the evening anymore.
Well, no, it's elliptical, you know.
But my point is, people didn't just tolerate it, they actually welcomed it. So I think people who are very comfortable with rules are going to be struggling at this stage of the pandemic when they're let go.
Let me ask you this. Were you surprised at how compliant we were as a nation? Because I always sort of saw Britain as a nation full of sort of rugged individualists who would not give up their freedom easily. And yet we did. We gave up our freedom with remarkable ease, rather shocking ease, I thought.
Yeah, I would say actually for me it created kind of an ideological midlife crisis, because things that I held dear, agency, personal responsibility, liberty, felt like minority interests. I couldn't believe how quickly people adapted to such an extreme level of intrusion from the state in their private lives. It wasn't just rules, it was things like not being able to leave your house to earn a living, not being able to worship, not being able to go to school. And people wanted it, and that shocked me. I'd like to understand more how the public terrain was so fertile for that level of restrictions.
Of course, it's like pertinent to your book, how the government weaponised fear during the COVID-19 pandemic. I think a lot of people were ready to be compliant immediately, but once the fear factor kicked in, they were even more compliant. And the problem now seems to be, and I do genuinely believe the majority of people have just had enough. They don't want to play pandemic anymore. They want to get back to normal, and by that I mean the old normal. But there's no doubt there are millions of people out there who want to carry on being compliant, like Derek. You know, you're undermining the rules. There aren't any rules anymore. You know, they want these rules. They want to carry on. There was admitted it was a YouGov poll, which I don't particularly trust that polling organisation. But last week it came out saying that 75% of the population wanted to carry on isolating, and 50% wanted COVID rules and regulations forever. I mean, it's crazy.
It is crazy, but you know, you'd have to see what questions preceded it.
Yeah,
because
I know. Yeah. In order to prevent millions of deaths, would you support more COVID restrictions?
There are very easy ways for survey companies to bias and prime the respondents into giving certain answers.
I know.
So you have to take the results with a pinch of salt. That said, I'm sure there's a good number of people who are uncomfortable about the rules being lifted. And honestly, I think they need a soft landing. You know, we're not going to be able to go back to the days of people not wearing any masks overnight, because you know, they're almost like they're like a kind of a crutch, a comfort blanket, even if they don't work. It's just going to take a bit of time. The important thing is not stirring up more division between people, because we've been through this just insane period of time, and we need to recover and genuinely come back together as a nation.
Julia Hartley-Brewer's got her face mask, which she wears reluctantly at times when you have to, on an aeroplane, that kind of thing. She's got a mask that says, "This is insanity," or something written across it. So I'm thinking of getting a mask saying, "Look at me, aren't I great? I'm wearing a mask." That's what it's all about. These people, they can almost see the smugness. And the way it's now being categorised by the mask fanatics as courteous. It's courteous to wear a mask. I mean, give it up. It's not courteous, and it doesn't do much good, I don't think, either.
It would only be courteous if they worked, but there is definitely something about them symbolising morality.
Yeah, they become a symbol.
And virtue, like good people from a certain class, a certain sort of respectability and compliance level, wear masks. They're good people, and really, honestly, they're investing morality in completely the wrong thing. Morality doesn't live in an item of clothing, and it definitely doesn't live in an ineffective face mask.
Yeah, wear a mask because to do so is to support the middle class people from North London where I live, where it's almost compulsory, you have to wear them everywhere, just so that people can see what a great person you are and that you do read The Guardian every day.
Good talk.
Hot talk. Bold talk. Talk radio.
Listen on your smart speaker.
Watch it live on your smart TV.
The world headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.